The ongoing geopolitical conflict involving the United States, Israel, and Iran has rapidly evolved into one of the most consequential global crises in recent memory, and its ripple effects are being felt far beyond the battlefield. Among the many industries caught in the crossfire, Formula One finds itself navigating an unprecedented storm of uncertainty. What began as a regional escalation has now transformed into a global disruption affecting travel, energy, finance, and international events. For Formula One, a sport built on precision, timing, and global mobility, the consequences have been immediate and severe. From cancelled races in the Middle East to logistical nightmares and financial losses, the 2026 season is being reshaped in real time. A fragile global situation. The current conflict has seen intense military exchanges between the United States, Israel, and Iran, with the situation remaining volatile despite a fragile ceasefire. Recent reports highlight Iran's growing strategic leverage over the Strait of Hormuz, a critical artery for global oil and shipping routes. Reuters. This has had cascading effects across the global economy. Shipping disruptions, energy price volatility, and widespread uncertainty have created an environment in which large-scale international events, especially those requiring massive logistical coordination like Formula One, struggle to operate. The Middle East, a key pillar of the F1 calendar, has become one of the most affected regions. Race cancellations rock the calendar. The most visible impact on Formula One has been the cancellation of key races. The Bahrain Grand Prix and the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, traditionally early season fixtures, were officially called off due to safety concerns and regional instability. A.com.tr. These cancellations are more than just scheduling inconveniences, they represent a structural shock to the sport. The Bahrain race, hosted at the Bahrain International Circuit, has long been a cornerstone of the modern F1 calendar. The Saudi Arabian race in Jeddah is one of the sport's most lucrative and strategically important events. With both races removed and no immediate replacements scheduled, Formula One was forced into an unusual mid-season gap, something rarely seen in the modern era, the scottishsun.co.uk. The result? A disrupted rhythm for teams, drivers, and fans alike. A 5-week void, and a historic stopgap. In response to the sudden void in the calendar, Formula One turned to an unexpected solution, testing sessions at the legendary Nürburgring in Germany. While not a competitive race, the return to the Nürburgring marks a symbolic moment. Once considered one of the most dangerous tracks in motorsport history, the circuit now serves as a temporary anchor in a season defined by instability. This move underscores a broader reality: Formula One is improvising in real time. Logistics in chaos. Behind the scenes, the war has created a logistical nightmare for Formula One teams. F1 is a traveling circus involving over 2,000 personnel, hundreds of tons of equipment, complex global freight operations. The conflict has disrupted major air corridors, particularly those crossing the Middle East. Flights have been rerouted, delayed, or outright cancelled, forcing teams to rely on expensive charter solutions just to reach race destinations. Forbes.com. Even the season-opening race in Melbourne faced significant challenges, with teams scrambling to ensure their cars and equipment arrived on time. This level of disruption is unprecedented in modern F1 history. The Middle East, F1's strategic heartland. To understand the full impact, it's important to recognize how central the Middle East has become to Formula One's global strategy. Over the past 2 decades, the sport has heavily invested in the region, hosting races in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Abu Dhabi. These events are not just races, they are financial powerhouses backed by sovereign wealth and long-term contracts. The current conflict threatens all of that. As one analysis notes, the war has exposed a fundamental vulnerability in Formula One's business model: its dependence on politically sensitive regions. Grand Prix 247. Financial fallout. The cancellation of races carries a heavy financial toll. Each Grand Prix generates revenue through broadcasting rights, sponsorship deals, ticket sales, hosting fees. Losing even 2 races can cost the sport tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars. Moreover, sponsors and partners are now operating in a climate of uncertainty. Brands associated with events in the Middle East must reassess their commitments, while teams face potential budget disruptions. Safety concerns take center stage. At the heart of every decision is one overriding priority: safety. The conflict has seen missile strikes, airspace closures, and attacks on infrastructure across the region. Reuters. For Formula One, which involves thousands of personnel and attracts massive crowds, the risks are simply too high. The decision to cancel races in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia reflects a broader recognition that no amount of financial incentive can outweigh the safety of drivers, teams, and fans. A global sport meets geopolitical reality. Formula One has long prided itself on being a global sport that transcends borders. But the current crisis is a stark reminder that it cannot escape geopolitical realities. The sport's ambitious 24-race calendar for 2026 was designed to showcase its global reach. Instead, it has highlighted its vulnerabilities. As tensions continue, even races outside the Middle East could be affected. Travel disruptions may impact team logistics. Fuel price volatility could increase operational costs. Political tensions could influence sponsorship and broadcasting. The human element. Beyond logistics and finances, the war has a human impact. Drivers, engineers, and team staff are not immune to the anxiety and uncertainty created by global conflict. Many have had to navigate disrupted travel plans, safety concerns, and the emotional toll of operating in a volatile environment. Fans, too, are affected, whether through cancelled events, travel restrictions, or the broader unease of watching a beloved sport unfold against a backdrop of war. What happens next? The future of the 2026 Formula One season remains uncertain. Key questions include: will additional races be cancelled or rescheduled? Can the Middle East events return later in the year? How will the sport adapt if the conflict escalates further? Much depends on the geopolitical situation. While a ceasefire has been announced, it remains fragile, with ongoing tensions threatening to reignite hostilities at any moment. The Guardian, a turning point for Formula One. This crisis may ultimately serve as a turning point for Formula One. It raises fundamental questions about the sustainability of a globally dispersed calendar, the risks of relying on politically volatile regions, the need for contingency planning in an unpredictable world. In many ways, the sport is being forced to rethink its future. Conclusion: racing against uncertainty. The USA-Israel-Iran war has thrust Formula One into one of the most challenging periods in its modern history. What was supposed to be a landmark season has instead become a test of resilience, adaptability, and leadership. From cancelled races and logistical chaos to financial strain and safety concerns, the impact is profound and ongoing. Yet, if there is one constant in Formula One, it is the ability to evolve. As teams regroup, schedules shift, and the world watches closely, one thing is clear: Formula One is no longer just racing against the clock, it is racing against uncertainty itself. And in 2026, that may be its toughest opponent yet.